Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to AI and Tech for the Everyday Person. My name is Nurdes Gomez. I am the Director of People Operations at eMed. We are a digital telehealth company based out of Miami, Florida, and we are international. We have operations in the UK as well. And really, the purpose of this discussion is to help each and every one of us implement AI and tech in our everyday lives and to really remove that fear that we've been having, right? Because there's so many unknowns, there's so much opportunity though as we go through. So some of the things we're going to talk about is a very brief overview of artificial intelligence and learning language models, ChatGPT uses, prioritization via tech. Like, how can we help use this to make our world easier, more effective? Creating effective prompts, because everything's about the prompt, and some practice. We're gonna throw up ChatGPT. It's a free platform. It's the most used one, so that we can go into it. So feel free to add to the chat or unmute. What are artificial intelligence and learning language models from your understanding? Welcome. Well, we'll jump in because sometimes it gets a little complicated. This is not going to be a full story on it, but does anyone know what year artificial intelligence was coined? Feel free to throw out some numbers though, because this is actually a crazy stat.
Sometime in the 80s?
Earlier than that. 1955. Danny, you were right there. You said 1960. So 1955 is when AI first was like a dream that came about, right? And quickly, AI is the simulation of human intelligence processes by machines. These processes include learning, reasoning, problem solving, perception, and language understanding. Now, when we think about, wow, that's a lot that it can do, what can't it do? It can't do this. It can't interact with people. It can't love and feel and share and connect. It can't have caring, but it can get rid of a lot of the junk we don't want to deal with. One of my favorite applications for AI, and I say this wholeheartedly with all my HR soul, is when a vendor upsets me and sends me an email, and instead of rewriting that email 4 times to make sure it sounds at the professional level, you all know what I mean. I put in ChatGPT, removing, of course, the protected information or the sensitive information, and say, please write a professional email saying, no, I want this done by Friday. And I review it, I tweak it a little bit, and I send it. And it helps me to have so much more time, and it releases me from getting upset about a situation that it's going to get resolved, but if you marinate on it, as we all know, it's just completely unnecessary. So large language models are a type of AI model trained on vast amounts of data to understand, generate, and manipulate human language. Always remember, bad data in, bad data out. AI hallucinates. That's the technical term for when it messes up. So always fact check it. And you can actually fact check via a prompt and say, provide me the sources that you used with clickable links for me to be able to verify that this is accurate information. And sometimes the links are broken or it's inaccurate because it comes up with information that's just not accurate. And then, of course, great for checking compliance, absolutely. Another use case is one of our legal team members told me we were in a contract and she was trying to determine how to properly articulate a breach of contract. She uploaded the contract into ChatGPT and asked it from the persona of a lawyer based out of Florida, since we're Florida based. Please provide all the ways that we can articulate a breach of contract based on these parameters. And ChatGPT did it for her. And she was able, some of the information was inaccurate, please know. but she was able to use it as a jump start to be able to speak with our legal team to address that breach of contract, which was incredible. Because imagine how many hours she was going to go through a 20-page contract trying to determine what would be the best way. So when we think about AI, it's all about augmenting our processes, speeding it up, and getting rid of the stuff we really don't want to do. So as we go through, there are ethical and safety frameworks we really need to think about from a regulatory perspective. You need to think about where were or who created these AI models and what biases exist. And then I always like to share on the right-hand side, those are just some of the AI platforms, and the links, we'll share the presentation too. You can see there are some that you've never even heard of that are being utilized every day, and it's pretty impressive. So as we go through, this is a great reference that has just some general knowledge. ChatGPT was launched in 2020. We have different, now it's actually GPT-01 was also implemented. But if you look at it, 62% of working professionals use ChatGPT for assistance with work tasks. And I was talking to a fellow HR person, and she goes, oh no one in our company is allowed to use ChatGPT or any AI. We have policies in place that tell them that they can't use it for work-related purposes. There's too many unknowns. How many of you believe that people are using it anyway? I see nods. Yes, absolutely. So if you're stopping people from using it in the appropriate way, quote unquote, they're still going to use it. So just being aware of those metrics and things. So this is just to level set. And I do harp on ChatGPT, but there's so many. Try them out, have fun with them. So feel free to add in the chat, but what can ChatGPT be used for? Or what have you used it for? We've had some use cases.
I've used it for launching announcements, typing up like a brief memo. We at Sunlane are all about making things fun, especially with our communication. So I'll say, turn this memo into a song. All right, now make this like a 1990s rap song, and use Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as inspiration. And so we've definitely harnessed ChatGPT for communications like that.
That is so much fun. And I see writing job descriptions, confirming hunches about something, absolutely. And writing fun LinkedIn job post memos. Oh, I love it for LinkedIn because it gives you the hashtag so you can even get more impressions. Great. So I asked ChatGPT. When it first started, it was a writing assistant, but now it's so much more. You can use it to schedule appointments, set reminders, like we talked about content creation. I've met with executive coaches, because I am an executive coach, and we talk about creating a month of content ideas, or like creating calendars, newsletters. What are top of mind trends? I was talking to someone who was looking for neurodivergent resources in Canada. They popped that in there and they were getting all of these resources. They even, because remember when you consider AI, it depends on when the information was put into the system. But there's government agencies that you can research, grants. You can ask it to create the most effective prompts and it will help you. But you can also use it from an HR perspective to practice conflict management. How do you think you could implement it with conflict management? Or have you tried it before?
I think I have kind of an example. So we have employees all around the world, and different Canadian provinces have different holidays that they're not all observed the same. And employees were like, we shouldn't have to take DTO for this, even though it's unlimited and it doesn't affect their time off if they do choose to take it, but that's not observed. So I wanted to like eloquently relay that information, and ChatGPT definitely helped write like friendly and professional. Like, of course, I tweaked it to my own, but it really helps with like getting that base message out for me.
Awesome. And that's really good because sometimes we get stumped, right? We're human. And one of the things we consider is like energy management, right? If we're constantly trying to like put our energy into things that may frustrate us, it's versus having ChatGPT create that draft, give us that springboard so that we can actually utilize it. And Danny mentioned she hadn't tried it for conflict management. Well, you can write a script, put it into ChatGPT. So let's say you have a manager who you need to address an employee concern with, and you type out, of course, don't put the real manager's name. You type out what you want to talk to the manager about, and then ask ChatGPT to provide feedback on those comments and any potential counter arguments. And you can even do scenario role play. So ChatGPT could take on the persona of the manager. Maybe you can use a couple adjectives, and you can type in and say, this is the kind of conversation. It's really good for presentations as well. And you can ask it, I was working on a newsletter submission, and I had typed out all of my responses to the 4 questions, but then I'm like, I wonder how ChatGPT could help me. So I uploaded it in and I asked for feedback. I'm like, hey, please provide feedback on this. And it gave me 2 or 3 additional points to add that were really effective. Now, it also rewrote my article, and I said, no, no, no. I like my persona, but you can use it. Oh, Corey shared, that's awesome to use it for actual conversation rather than just back and forth messaging for conflict resolution. Absolutely. And you can ask it to be personas. So you can say, I'm sure a engineering manager will have a very different persona than a marketing manager. So, just throwing it out there. And you can read the slide, but language learning is really an effective tool, but just learning anything. So let's say you're like, oh, I just don't get this. You can tell ChatGPT, please provide an explanation of X that would be understandable for a 7-year-old child. And the way it breaks it down, you're like, I finally understand advanced chemistry. No, that would not be a topic I would spend my time on. But it's so interesting. Analyzing data is really good. Just double check the work. Remember, as we're augmenting our processes, this is our springboard, but we are in charge of making sure it's accurate and it's a correct reflection of us. So yes, this slide is meant to be dazzling. Just try it. That's like so many different ways, but we need to try it effectively. And we talked a little bit about prompts. I was supporting one of our finance team members, and I said, hey, just ask for the policy via ChatGPT and say it's for a health tech company. And he said it was crap and ChatGPT doesn't work, and look at this thing that it did. And I'm like, well, let's look at the prompt. We rewrote the prompt. It generated the policy. He's like, this saved me at least an hour of time. And that's what ChatGPT is for, and all of the other AI. Saving time on things that are important, but not what we want to spend our time or energy on. And when you think about it from a human resources perspective, what are things that we don't have time for that are actually meaningful? And feel free to unmute. Like, if you had more time, what would you be doing?
If I had more time, I would be getting to my task list of those things that are out of sight, out of mind, but they're like, updating the handbook. It's something that needs to be done, but is so far, out of your day to day that, you can sometimes forget about it. So yeah, getting to that project list that's kind of been on another spreadsheet somewhere, and getting rid of, any daily tasks that might be a little bit more, or that can have the opportunity to be, pushed through ChatGPT.
Absolutely. Any other things you'd do if you had more time?
I I can also add there that if I had more time, I'd probably be meeting with our team members more often, to work on engagement, to work on culture, things that you don't necessarily, again, have time to do as much as you might like to. And so it really gives you the freedom to spend it toward the things that are nice to have or nice to do.
Exactly. And that's when you think about AI and you think about the fear and everything, if we can use it to augment a lot of those tedious things we do, so we can spend time on the human part of human resources, imagine. That's incredible. So, how can ChatGPT improve decision making? Well, part of decision making is really making sure that we fully understand the information we have available to us. So the analysis and insights, but also ChatGPT can give you scenarios and actually run through models to see what are the projected outcomes of each of those scenarios. And that really helps you to assess the potential risks. And of course, boosting innovation. Brainstorming one-on-one with ChatGPT, generating creative ideas and concepts. And you might say, well, then ChatGPT is doing my work for me. No, because you still need to filter through, edit, and decide what is the best course of action. How can you personalize those different projects to make them part of your branding for your company and what you do every day. So, of course, whenever we think about implementing a new process, we have to set goals. Because if we don't set it, what's not measured, it doesn't matter, something to that effect. So we don't do SMART goals at eMed or anything like that. We just keep it basic and simple. Start with an action verb, include the measurement, and provide a time frequency or deadline. That's it. That way you can start implementing, utilizing AI in your daily life on an ongoing basis. So it could be as simple as, one of my goals actually as an HR leader is posting an AI learning, whether it's a blog, a video, a LinkedIn article, or a news release to my team every day. And I'm talking about company-wide. Everyone in eMed receives a little notice on our Google chat that says AI learning. I've posted everything from 500 ChatGPT prompts, which the team is like, Nurdes, that's way too much. I'm like, I know, but you can click Control F and see what you can find. But we also have posted healthcare advancements, because we are a healthcare company, MRIs utilizing AI to find brain tumors via scans so that doctors are able to have better patient outcomes. Like, there's so much going on, but that's my goal. Upload a AI related article every day, well, for the foreseeable future. And that allows us to do it. It's a quick goal. So as you're thinking about how can you implement AI and tech in your world and how you're going to use it to enhance processes and operations as well, because you can already start working with your team. I always recommend to restructure roles using the new opportunities that you implement. So first, though, we need to know what exactly are we doing with our time. And when we consider that, this is very, very detailed. I don't recommend 15-minute intervals, but taking the time to build understanding of where are your opportunities to implement AI in your work. Like, what is really stealing your time that could be have delegated, completed in a different way, utilizing AI to augment, etc. So this is just a quick idea if you want to take that added step in your goal setting process to level set and have that framework of this is what I'm focusing on and this is how AI and tech can help me. So once you have that level set, you think about how do you want to use your time differently than you do now. So you've already analyzed, you have your goals, you know where you are. How do you get to that next step? It's really thinking about where are your stated priorities not matching your actual priorities? How will I start using my time so that my stated priorities match my priorities in action? And how will I make this happen? Going back into the implementation so that we can really utilize our resources. Am I on the right presentation, Melissa? Did we discuss these? This is a little weird, because
Yeah, I think you're good. This isn't what you sent me. And then
1 second.
you're building us up towards Miro right now.
Oh wait, let me.
At least that's what I see on this side.
No, right? Okay, because I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, this is what I had presented to the students. I'm like, 1 second, so sorry. I'm like, I'm not crazy. Thank you. All right, back. This is what happens when we have version control issues and multiple presentations, but here we go. So we talked about prioritization. We talked about what could we do with our time if we had more time. And when you think about it from the Eisenhower matrix, it's when you utilize AI, the important and not urgent things can get done, right? Which is exactly what we're focused on: relationship building, preparation, working on those projects that Danny had mentioned, and really getting through. So how can AI help us? So when we can actually put our to-do lists into AI and have it prioritize them for us, helping us to really break down and from a non-emotional aspect, analyze that urgency and importance. It can optimize our schedule and automate processes. So what does that look like? You can actually utilize AI to create time blocks to be able to focus on the projects that you're working towards to really schedule. It can help you to suggest and track delegated tasks. This is really important if you have teams, because a lot of times we're going 100 miles an hour and we're assuming people are going to actually do the things they do. But if you have an automated process that you can reference and have a whole Excel spreadsheet and just be able to track that, and then you can actually use AI, including chatGPT, to provide status reports on those tasks. I love it. Has anyone used Firefly or Otter or any of the note takers, AI note takers? If you haven't, I highly recommend them. They provide, oh, I see the chat. Let's see. We use Firefly, absolutely. So Firefly, and I mentioned it first, is because it's GDPR compliant, it's SOC 2, so you don't really need to worry too much whether or not the content would be lost, so that's good. And the action summaries are fantastic because everyone leaves on the same page, everyone gets an email, and you're able to really just not waste time summarizing things, and you have an audit trail so that you can reference back. And we talked about decision making already. So what can help you? We utilize Mirro, and I highly recommend, if you have the ability to implement it. If you don't get the fancy tech, you can still use the concepts, like the Moscow method for really organizing and prioritizing. This is a fantastic tool to be able to support your team as well as yourself in getting that organization so that you can plan, because with lack of planning, we're never going to be able to really make meaningful strategic change. So it's our must-haves, should-haves, could-haves, and won't have. And you can use this for product planning, operational meetings, scope, helping to allocate resources. We can't do everything at once. So how are we really making sure that we're using our time effectively, using tools and tech that we have? If you don't have Miro, some other similar tools are Miro, Lucid, and MS Whiteboard is getting there. Absolutely great points. And just being able to utilize these, because Miro, you can share it, but I'm sure you can still share with some of those other applications. Another application is rice prioritization. This is super effective from an AI perspective because it can do the numbers for you. You just have to give it the basics, which again helps to quantify what's the reach, impact, and confidence over the effort to any of your projects. And when you think about it from like asking your CFO or your finance team for funding, being able to show the impact of all of the different projects you're doing and how it's going to support the teams is so fundamental. This one, again, very basic, very easy to use, the 3x3 prioritization method. A lot of times in HR, we get so stuck in the busy work and also in our day-to-day operations that we forget to really focus on the high impact items that also take a lot of effort. Because how many times in the day you're like, oh, it's gonna take me 2 minutes, let me just knock it out. So you're very busy, but you're not strategic or effective. And that's another way that you can implement tech to be able to level set and really prioritize what you're doing. At eMed, I was employee 77, so we were definitely a startup. And sometimes priorities change on the daily. So having a board essentially that tells the team at a glance, this is what you should be focused on, really makes a difference. So what are the principles for creating ChatGPT prompts? So we've talked about what it is, how it can help, but how do we get there, right? So there's many different frameworks. I actually asked ChatGPT to give this one, to ask it, hey, how can I best generate prompts? And you can actually have ChatGPT edit your prompts and say, please, and I do please and thank you, by the way, because when tech takes over the world, I want it to remember I was nice to it. Joke, not joking. So please update this prompt to make it more effective in getting X result. So as we go through, we have define your objective, be clear and specific. And you might think, Nurdes, these are so basic. How many times are we not clear in what we want? And if we added that clarity, we would be able to really narrow down the scope of the request for ChatGPT to provide it. Context, I always tell it, provide it from the persona of X. So I had a new hire in marketing, and we did it together. I was like, marketing persona of X position in a tech startup to provide X activities, what we were talking about. And it just generated all this information. And she's like, this has saved me so much time. And that's what we're talking about, augmenting our processes to be able to streamline, and be able to focus on the important stuff that we want to focus on. You can always ask direct questions using examples. One thing I like to do, and I do it often, is limit the scope. Sometimes ChatGPT goes on for days and you're like, no, no, no. Provide me 3 examples, 4 bullets, provide me the 5 top trends, and experiment and iterate. A lot of people don't realize you can keep prompting, prompt on the prompt. So as we go through, true, sometimes ChatGPT is way too smart. It goes on and on. Yes, Craig, absolutely. So these are effective prompts and these are ineffective prompts, but these are very basic. And the whole concept is to give you just a general understanding. So if you ask for protected information, like explain the architecture of Facebook's backend system, it says no. It talks more, but like these are some. And as you go through and you prompt it, you're gonna get better and better. But also, ChatGPT is learning from you. It's storing your interactions with it in its memory, and it's learning how you want it to react. So it's fine-tuning its prompting to be able to do so, which is really exciting. So I use take the above response and condense in 10 sentences. Ooh, I like that. Great job, Danny. So when we think about some effective prompts, this is what I call superhuman prompts. And you'll have access again to the PowerPoint, but like this is truly like above and beyond prompts. And I wanted to take a moment and just let you know the prompts that are generated in your GPT will be different than the prompts generated from other people. And go, what does that mean? My ChatGPT knows my persona, my interactions, my idiosyncrasies, right? If I put this prompt in there, it's gonna generate a response thinking of what I would want it to do. Versus if you do it, it's gonna come up with a response tailored to your persona that it has created in its system. That's something, and the reason I bring that up is because I was working with one of our managers on a conflict resolution issue of an employee, and we basically asked, it was a sensitive topic. The employee was having a hygiene issue, so he was coming into the office smelly, and I don't know about you, but that is the most uncomfortable conversation you can have with an employee. So I'm like, okay, let's practice together and we're gonna use ChatGPT, because I couldn't even think of ways to address it. And that's what we did. And his ChatGPT and my ChatGPT had different tones. His was more authoritative, mine was more compassionate. And it's not that he's uncompassionate, I'm not authoritative, but it's how it's generating. So always take that into consideration. And don't be shy to say, make the tone more like here, engaging and persuasive. So this is a framework that you can utilize at any time to, excuse me, to be able to really practice your prompting, practice your role play, and continue forward. Oh, thank you so much. And then this is some of the things that I hadn't even thought about. This is another crazy framework. Like, who would have ever thought to use ChatGPT as a sales executive? We have, or a critic. Maybe you're working on a presentation and you want ChatGPT to provide you recommendations and feedback. Design thinking, like being able to build out a program. There are some ways to do emotional prompts as well. So you can say, have a more caring tone, be able to, or maybe more authoritarian tone as well. There's so many different ways, but really, the way to maximize any AI is to create a prompt that delivers what you're looking for. So as we go through, now we're gonna practice. So I'm gonna stop share. I'm gonna bring up the handy dandy ChatGPT. So this was actually a use case today. Let me share this here. But we can do a completely different one. Don't feel that we have to do this one. What is a prompt or what is a topic you would be interested in? And as you're thinking, I'm just gonna give you an example. So I had one of our interns reach out and say, hey, can you write me a letter of recommendation? I'm going to a new job. And I was like, one of the questions is, what are 3 ways to improve performance? And I'm like, how do you say that in a really nice way? So I'm like, there are really strengths for a high energy, positive, supportive, and smart intern. And of course, ChatGPT did not give me the prompts and responses I wanted. They went like completely off the wall because I think it was hallucinating a little bit. But then I refined it and and this is just like basic because I had 10 minutes to write this reference and I was like, let's go. What are the top 3 ways that this individual can improve upon their performance? And if you look, it's iterating on my original prompt because this is just one ongoing prompting. So here are 3 target ways this high energy, positive, and smart intern could work to improve their performance further. And it's now getting fine-tuned. So you might think, well, Nurdes, you should probably use better prompts. Yeah, but I didn't really want to take the time to type out a whole big repertoire of prompts. I just needed some basic ideas so that I could keep going. And then I think I did one more, provide a long list. And then it created a comprehensive list of potential areas for improvement for the same persona. And then I picked like 3 of them as I read through, popped it in there and kept going. It took maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And that's part of that augmenting. So instead, let's do something else. What is a real life scenario that you're dealing with that you are like, how could AI help me? Feel free to add to the chat.
I can use my example that I recently used. How can human resources start rebuilding culture after layoffs?
That is a great one. That's a hard one, and I'm sorry to hear that. But I don't know if you've noticed too, there's been a lot of layoffs, quiet layoffs of companies just letting go of 5, 10, 15 people, but not big enough to get like publicity. But everyone's struggling because we're in a political climate right now. So everyone's like, save your money just in case. And I'm like, so here we go. From the persona of a human resources professional, provide a list of ways to rebuild culture after layoffs have occurred in the company. Focus on actionable tasks, create a timeline, provide communications and recommendations. This is just off the wall. So yeah, we know it's crucial to restore morale, trust, and motivation. Here's a structured plan to help achieve that with a focus on actionable steps. Immediate actions, 1 to 2 weeks, transparent communication, hold a town hall or all hands meeting within the first week. Message, acknowledge the challenges, recommendations, use a reassuring tone, convey empathy and welcome questions, reinforce vision and purpose, offer support resources, which that's a big one, mental health resources, and also, considerations of how do you reaffirm that? So it has messages, recommendations, and then it keeps going. That's just week 1 to 2. Then reconnect and realign, foster open dialogue, revisit core values and culture commitments. This is amazing. Like, this is generated in seconds. Conduct one-on-one check-ins with your management team. I'm surprised it didn't come up with like an FAQ, but I would recommend an FAQ. Here we go. Re-engage, and strengthen. So recognize contributions and boost morale, team building activities, encourage cross-functional projects, review and reinforce quarterly and ongoing. So doing a culture health check, continuous improvement, training and development, leadership engagement, accountability, and then expand on all of these with a full communication and action plan. Let's see what happens. I don't know what's gonna come up with. Sorry.
And I just want to add in real quick here, like this is something that I would heavily utilize as I'm presenting to our CEO. Because for our specific situation, our CEO likes to, have the primary form of communication, but he might need guidance on, the overall vision of how we're going to tackle this. So that as a human resources professional, I think we all are familiar with, where to start with this, but for situations where you need to communicate and present a deck, this would be a great resource.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can, as you're going through, you can say, provide a script. You can have it narrow down and just keep building on it. So I think I saw other chats on ideas. Let me just check real quick.
Okay. Craig, you said you're planning a virtual holiday party?
Oh, let's do it. So you'll notice I always get a new chat because I want it to be fresh. So help an operational leader coordinate a virtual holiday party with theme ideas, game ideas, invite, let me see what other things, ways to engage the team, and make it lots of fun. We'll see what happens. So it starts off with different theme ideas, holiday movie night, ugly sweater contests around the world, game ideas. So I think it's considering all the a virtual escape room. I've never heard of that. Have you heard of that? Ways to engage, a holiday playlist, team shout outs and awards, a photo contest. Actually, that's a cute idea. Gift boxes and snack ideas, festive invitation, countdown reminders. So there you go. And then if you see the engagement ideas, provide a list of companies that sell gift boxes with projected costs and links to their websites. So you're like, oh, sometimes this happens. So it'll give you 2 responses to see which one you like more, so it can continue to hone in. So you'll see that there's 2. Here are some corporate gift box providers with options for customizing and pricing for holiday gifting. Now, what's really interesting is they're showing different ones. Marigold and Gray. And the reason I ask for links is I want to know if this is a real company. Oh, look, it's a 100% woman owned and led. Oh, that's nice. But again, you have the price ranges. Now, how much time would this have taken you to try find a freaking gift box company? Let's be real. And this is all of the different ones. So I honestly prefer this one because it's so basic and like easy to follow. I prefer this response. Like, and then you can keep going through and just be like, okay, Hickory Farm sounds like the best bet for our team. Go through, create your proposal. And that's another thing. Create a proposal to provide to finance, validating the need for Hickory Farms holiday gifts and all of the positive impact to employee engagement. Because you know they always ask, why are we doing this? How much is it? So, oh, oops, there it goes. Executive summary, an objective, purpose and justification, proposed gift ideas. It even has some of the proposals from their company website. Expected impact on employee engagement. Like, who would have even thought to use it for this? You just created your virtual party, you just sourced out the gifts, you just have your CFO proposal. Like, how do we feel about this? Would it save you tons of time? All right, and that's just playing around with it. Oh, chats. I got chats. Yay. Love those prompts. And you know, some of them are really just basic. Oh, perfect. Beautiful. Let me just say that. Perfect. So let's stop sharing this. And then we're going to jump back into the presentation. If I can remember to share it before I jump. And then so the key takeaways though, as we go through and we think about this is, and we didn't harp on it because all of you are professionals, but be aware of potential risks. Don't put any proprietary information, protected health information, since we're healthcare, I always mention that. Analyze your processes. Think about what can benefit from utilizing these AI tools. How can you streamline and make things easier, more effective? How can you get rid of like all these tedious tasks you don't want to do and save time? Like, we just planned a virtual holiday celebration in minutes, right? I do recommend checking out the 217 little-known ChatGPT prompts. You can also have fun with it. You can have it do pirate personas, like Danny was mentioning, I believe, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you know, create songs and try out new things or learn about new topics. One thing I always like to end with is a quote. And this is, there we go, perfect. This simple equation, artificial intelligence and human intelligence equals that return on investment. The sentiment that when we leverage advanced technology in harmony with unique capabilities of humans, we amplify our potential to achieve better outcomes and superior returns on investment. So we have the opportunity now to utilize all these tools to make work better. And that's really, I hope, one of the main takeaways that you have. So we'll stop sharing and perhaps stop recording and open it up for questions. Thank you all so much.